Hi, my name is Anya. I'm the Games Outreach Lead at Kickstarter.
So let's talk a little about the role video games play today when it comes to Kickstarter. At this point, you guys are almost 10 years old now.
Yep. Yeah, so we're almost 10 years old. There are a lot of really fun, interesting rumors that I hear about video games on Kickstarter, but I can assure you that they are still doing very well. So we ran the numbers for 2017, and it's really interesting. This is one of my favorite stats. There's a video game that funded every single day in 2017 with the exception of 1 week. So it's alive, it's kicking, it's doing extremely well, which is great.
What do you feel separates Kickstarter from other crowdfunding when it comes to gaming?
Oh, it's a great question. So I think the biggest thing is that our community is huge. We have like 2.5 million backers, something like that, in games. And we have a number of repeat backers. So people that come to Kickstarter, if you back a project once, you're more likely to back a second or third, sometimes fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth project, which is really great. Our community is also, they really sort of embrace games as a robust category on Kickstarter. The community is extremely vocal about things, which is also really great. But because it's the largest community, it's one of our, I think, strongest points as a crowdfunding platform.
When it comes to, we're here in Dubrovnik for Reboot, there's a lot of indie games all around here. How have you seen Kickstarter influence the indie game ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's a couple different ways. You'll see that I use the word community a lot. So being able to grow your community on Kickstarter is great. Although we always tell people, just from like our standpoint, you should be doing community building 6 months in advance. Thought someone was starting to play guitar. It's just the music. So yeah, being able to kind of build that community is really cool. There's an interesting thing that happens when we're at events like this. Even within the actual indie dev community, a lot of people don't necessarily know, like, hey, my friend ran a Kickstarter project, but the person I'm sitting next to I've never met has also run a Kickstarter project. So there's a really beautiful indie dev organic community that kind of builds at these events of people that have run Kickstarter projects or have Kickstarter projects that have failed, which is also a fun sort of subcategory of Kickstarter for the community side. But community being a part of something really interesting and special, it's fun for me to be able to introduce people and say like, hey, you ran a project and you ran a project. You two should chat.
When it comes to going to conferences like Reboot, what's your role? Like, what do you try to do when it comes to checking out new games or other things like that?
Here it's just go to the jacuzzi as much as possible. No, I'm kidding. Although I will be doing that after this talk. So so my job here is kind of a couple different things. One is to, sort of advocate for Kickstarter as much as I possibly can by doing things like this wonderful poolside chat, which initially was beachside. We're doing poolside now, so that's totally fine. And then also like looking for projects and also looking for people that are interested in running projects. I'm always excited and happy to talk to different creators about kind of what their ideas are and how they can utilize Kickstarter. Again, dispel any sort of myths or rumors that I hear about Kickstarter and just sort of be a general advocate for the platform.
What do you feel people think about when it comes to Kickstarter and gaming?
I think they think it's very difficult, and that's definitely true. I think a lot of people don't realize how many games have funded and actually been released on Kickstarter. So it's interesting for me to kind of look around and be like, that was a project, there's a creator, that's a creator. So I think people think it's a really difficult thing to do, but it's also very rewarding once you've done it.
Can you talk a little bit about your own gaming background and how you came to Kickstarter?
Can indeed. So this is actually my 10th year in games, so it's a decade, which is really exciting. I got my start when I was 25, so I'm 35. I got my start at 25 when I worked in developer relations for addictinggames.com, and then eventually kind of worked my way up into running developer relations there, which was great. Addicting Games was owned by Nickelodeon, and so when Nickelodeon and Viacom decided to sell addictinggames.com, I got transitioned into a mobile development production space. It just got louder. This is great, just Kurt Cobain yelling at me, talking about games, like Stevie Nicks arms. It's a great day. So I did mobile production and development and developer relations too, and was like, this corporate life just is not for me. So I started looking at new opportunities, and this Kickstarter thing came up, and I was like, well, that's a dream job. I'm not going to get that. And a month later, they hired me, which is pretty crazy. So I've never made a game. I don't program. I don't code. I don't draw. I don't do art. but my passion is really working with creative people and being able to facilitate those different aspects of what the creative process is and seeing how I can make that easier for them. So being able to do what I do at Kickstarter fulfills all of these sort of like things that I've wanted to do in my career, which is really great.